The G series from Motorola has gotten better and better every year. In fact, the phones have been selling so well that they've been more popular than the company's iconic Razr flip phone from the early 2000s. The new G5 Plus claims to be even better than its predecessor, with a new metal build, better camera, more storage, and a faster processor. Let's start things off with the specs. The device I have here is powered by a Qualcomm Snapdragon 625 chip with 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of storage. For $70 less though, you can get the phone with half the RAM and half the storage. But both phones come with a 5.2-inch 1080p display, 3000 mAh battery, fingerprint sensor, 12 megapixel main camera with a f1.7 lens, 5 megapixel selfie camera, and a microSD card slot. Overall, the phone is good, but with all the praise that it's been getting, people might get the wrong impression about this device. You might look at the specs and think that you're getting a pretty good deal since it comes with a lot of the same things that some high-end devices come with. But Motorola's implementation of those features is far from perfect. Personally, I think Motorola missed the mark when it comes to design. With ZTE and Honor wrapping their budget devices with metal bodies, Motorola thought that they needed to do it too. Except the only thing that's real metal on this phone is the back panel. While the edges have a metallic look, they're 100% plastic, making the phone look and also feel cheap. I honestly think they would have had a better device if they would have simply improved upon the plastic build of last year's G4. My second complaint is with the main camera. The G5 sports a 12 megapixel sensor with dual pixel autofocus. That is the same wizardry that made the Samsung Galaxy S7's camera so good. But for some reason, the images from this phone aren't nearly on the same level. If you plan on taking pictures outdoors with plenty of sunlight, the shots from the G5 Plus will look fine. The images tend to be on the warmer side, but they're not obnoxiously oversaturated. The sensor's dynamic range is a bit lackluster, leaving the lighter areas of the shots completely blown out in some cases. But when you move inside or once the sun goes down, that's where the disappointment settles in. You'll see that the ISO gets bumped up significantly to compensate for the lack of light, resulting in a lot of digital noise. The camera also tones down saturation, leaving you with images that look pretty dull. When you switch over to the front-facing camera, images actually turn out okay, for what it is. Motorola has even thrown in a wide-angle lens so that you can fit in all your friends in a single shot. Fortunately, a phone is more than a camera, and the Snapdragon 625 chip used inside this device is pretty good. It is noticeably slower than what you would get with a flagship device, but once the apps are loaded up, they work perfectly fine. But I wouldn't recommend this device to you if you're looking for a device to play games on. It can play plenty of 3D titles, but I've personally experienced plenty of stuttering and skipped frames. Its overall gaming experience can be a little bit frustrating and requires a little bit of patience. The same can be said for multitasking if you're using the 2GB model. Apps start falling out of memory once you have 5 to 6 of them loaded up. The 4GB model fares a lot better, allowing you to jump between apps on the fly. This is even better with Android Nougat's multi-window support, since you can watch a video and browse the web at the same time, or send a text message to your friends. And that brings us to battery life. The 3000 mAh battery used inside this phone can actually get you through a full day of heavy use without even breaking a sweat. You can easily get 5 to 6 hours of screen on time on a single charge, and if you want to push it, you could actually make it to 36 hours without having to plug in the phone. For me, the Moto G5 Plus is a mixed bag. The base model is limited by having 2 gigs of RAM, and the more expensive model with 4 gigs of RAM isn't quite good as other phones within the $300 category. If Motorola would have spent a few extra dollars on a better processor or even the camera, rather than focusing its attention on the metal body and chrome finishes, I'd probably feel a lot different. Again, I want to state that you do get a lot of phone for your money, but I think Motorola dropped the ball and could have delivered something that's much better than what the G5 Plus actually is. And I'm sure a lot of you will actually disagree with me, and if you do, let me know in your comments. Thanks for watching my G5 Plus review. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button as well.